It started with something smally. Couldn't read the microwave numbers without squinting. Then street signs got fuzzy. By the time I was cleaning my glasses 3 times a day with no improvement, I knew something was wrong. I always thought losing vision was just part of aging, but I was wrong. And I learned the hard way that protecting your eyesight after 60 is not just possible, it's essential. Asterisk. It wasn't just my age, it was my habits. It began subtly. I'd squint while reading medicine bottles. Then I started turning on extra lights at dusk when my wife said it was bright enough. At first I chalked it up to getting older, something we all say a little too casually after 60, but deep down, I felt uneasy. I kept thinking, what if I'm losing my eyesight faster than I should? I didn't want to admit it, but I was afraid. So I did what most of us do. I ignored it. I adjusted. I told myself my glasses just needed cleaning. I downloaded apps with larger fonts. I blamed it on screen glare, poor lighting, or tired eyes. But nothing really improved. Then one evening, while driving home from a family dinner, something terrifying happened. The wake-up Callie was making a left turn at a familiar intersection, one I had driven through hundreds of times. But this time, I didn't see the cyclist approaching until he was almost on top of me. I slammed the brakes, and thank God, no one was hurt. But my hands were shaking. My heart pounded. That could have been a disaster, and it wasn't because I wasn't paying attention. It was because I genuinely didn't see him. That night, I sat in my living room and asked myself a hard question. Am I letting my eyesight fade away simply because I think it's a normal part of aging? And the truth hit me hard. It wasn't just my age, it was my habits. The mistakes I was making daily without knowing. I scheduled an eye exam the very next day. The optometrist was kind but firm. She told me that while yes, some vision decline is natural with age, a surprising amount of damage comes from lifestyle choices. Here are a few habits I had, maybe you do too, that were quietly damaging my eyes. 1. Ignoring dry eyes. I had dry, itchy eyes constantly. I assumed it was just from aging or allergies. What I didn't know is that chronic dry eye can damage the cornea over time. It makes the eyes more vulnerable to light sensitivity, infection, and even blurred vision. Turns out, I wasn't blinking enough, especially during long hours on my phone or tablet. Every time I stared at the screen, I blinked less frequently, drying out my eyes without realizing it. Now, I use artificial tears daily and I blink deliberately when using screens. It sounds small, but it's made a huge difference. 2. Bad lighting. At home I'd sit in dim lighting while reading or watching TV. I thought I was just creating a cozy mood. But according to my doctor, poor lighting forces your eyes to strain more than necessary, accelerating fatigue and blurriness. So I did a lighting audit at home, especially in reading areas, the kitchen, and near my bed. I swapped out bulbs for warmer, brighter ones and added a few inexpensive lamps. Not only did reading get easier, but my headaches reduced too. 3. Skipping sunglasses. This one shocked me the most. I always thought sunglasses were a fashion statement, but I rarely wore them even on bright days. I had no idea that UV rays are just as harmful to your eyes as they are to your skin. Prolonged exposure can lead to cataracts and macular degeneration, AMD. My optometrist practically begged me to wear UV-blocking sunglasses every time I stepped outdoors. Now, I keep a pair in the car, one by the door, and even a backup in my jacket pocket. Protecting your eyes from UV damage is one of the easiest and most effective habits you can build. 4. Not taking screen breaks. I used to spend hours reading the news, checking emails, or scrolling social media without a single break. It turns out that constant screen time leads to something called digital eye strain. The solution, the 20-20-20 rule. Every 20 minutes, I now look at something 20 feet away for at least 20 seconds. It gives my eyes the break they need and reduces fatigue drastically. I thought I was being normal, but I was being neglectful. That day at the eye clinic changed everything for me. I realized that I had fallen into a trap so many of us do in our 60s, assuming that decline is inevitable, so there's no point trying to prevent it. But that's not true. There's a difference between aging and neglecting your health. Our eyes might need more care as we age, but they don't have to give out early, not if we support them. What I started doing instead after that wake-up call, I made a few changes, simple, manageable, but powerful. I turned my home into an eye-friendly space with better lighting. I set alarms on my phone every hour to blink, stretch, and look away. I began using a humidifier in dry seasons to support moisture in my eyes. I wore sunglasses religiously even when it's cloudy, because UV rays still pass through. And most importantly, I committed to regular eye checkups, even if nothing felt wrong, because that's the thing about eyesight. You often don't notice the damage until it's too late. Why this matters so much after 60? After 60, your risk of developing serious eye conditions increases dramatically. Cataracts, glaucoma, macular degeneration, diabetic retinopathy. But the silver lining is that many of these conditions, when caught early, are treatable or even preventable. And it all starts with our daily habits. So no, it wasn't just my age. It was the years I spent unknowingly neglecting my eye health. Now I see clearer, I read better, I feel safer behind the wheel, and perhaps most importantly, I feel in control again. Final thoughts for this section of: you've been noticing a decline in your vision. Don't wait for it to get worse. Don't just chalk it up to getting older. Start by examining your daily habits. Sometimes the smallest change is better lighting, regular blinking. Wearing sunglasses can have the biggest impact. Your eyesight is too precious to leave to chance. The foods that fed my vision and the ones that hurt it. If someone had told me 10 years ago that my diet could help preserve my eyesight, I might have laughed. I thought food was about heart health, cholesterol, maybe blood sugar, but eyes, that seemed like a stretch. But after my close call behind the wheel and my appointment with the eye doctor, I started doing research. What I found shocked me. The eyes are one of the most nutrition-sensitive organs in the entire body, and just like our joints need calcium and our brain needs omega-3s, south our eyes have their own unique nutritional needs. The scary part: most of us are not feeding them what they need. That was me. I was feeding my stomach, but starving my vision. How food impacts your eyes. The science in simple terms: our eyes are exposed to light, oxidation, and constant strain throughout the day. Over time, this causes cellular damage, especially in the retina and macula, areas responsible for sharp vision and color. Here's the catch: the body doesn't naturally produce many of the compounds the eyes need to protect themselves. They have to come from what we eat, and after 60, our ability to absorb nutrients declines. So if we're not intentional about getting the right foods, we leave our vision vulnerable. That's why the phrase "you are what you eat" becomes "you see what you eat" after 60. The vision-saving nutrients I never knew I needed. My optometrist handed me a list of nutrients during my follow-up visit. I went home and stuck it on the fridge. These became the foundation of my new, if-friendly eating habits. 1. Lutein and zeaxanthins are carotenoids found in high concentrations in the retina. They filter harmful blue light and act like internal sunglasses. Best sources: kale, spinach, collard greens, eggs, especially the yolk, corn, and peas. I started adding sautéed spinach to my morning omelet and snacking on lightly steamed kale chips. Within weeks, my eyes felt less strained after screen time. 2. Vitamin A, essential for maintaining a clear cornea and supporting night vision. Best sources: carrots, sweet potatoes, butternut squash, and liver. I was already eating carrots, but not nearly enough. Now I roast sweet potatoes weekly and occasionally include beef liver in my diet. Not my favorite, but worth it. 3. Omega-3 fatty acids. They reduce dry eye syndrome and improve retinal function. Best sources: fatty fish like salmon, sardines, mackerel, flax seeds, and walnuts. I began eating baked salmon twice a week and added ground flaxseed to my morning yogurt. It helped not only my vision but my joints and mood too. For vitamin C and E, these antioxidants fight oxidative stress that damages eye tissue over time. Best sources: bell peppers, oranges, strawberries, vitamin C, and almonds, sunflower seeds, and avocados, vitamin E. I started preparing a fruit bowl every morning with berries and citrusan. I keep a bag of almonds by my recliner instead of chips. 5. Zinc. This mineral helps vitamin A reach the retina and supports night vision. Best sources: oysters, beef, chicken, and pumpkin seeds. I wasn't getting enough zinc before, and I could feel it especially when driving at night. Now I enjoy grilled chicken or pumpkin seed snacks more often. My blood tests backed it. UPA. Few months after adjusting my diet, I went for a routine checkup. My blood work showed higher antioxidant levels and improved lipid profiles. My eye doctor noted less dryness and better retinal contrast. It felt amazing to know that something as simple as food was helping me maintain my independence and clarity. The foods that were slowly stealing my sight, just as important as what I added, was what I removed. I didn't realize that certain foods were doing my eyes more harm than good. 1. Processed sugar. I had a sweet tooth, still do, if I'm honest. But excess sugar raises blood sugar and inflammation, both of which damage blood vessels in the eyes, especially in people at risk for diabetic retinopathy. I replaced cookies with dark chocolate at least 70% and fresh fruit. Not perfect, but far better. 2. Fried and fast foods. These are loaded with trans fats and omega-6 oils that create inflammatory conditions in the body. Inflammation is a key driver in age-related macular degeneration, AMD. Once a week, I'd indulge in fried chicken or a drive-through burger. Now I opt for grilled, baked, or air-fried options. It's a shift, but not a sacrifice. 3. Too much salt. I had no idea that salt contributes to high eye pressure, which is a risk factor for glaucoma. I started reading labels more carefully and swapped canned soups for homemade versions with herbs. A peek into my eye-friendly daily menu. No food choices can feel overwhelming, especially when we're trying to rebuild habits after 60. So here's a quick look at how my meals typically look. Now, breakfast: scrambled eggs with spinach and tomatoes, whole grain toast, and a handful of walnuts. Lunch: grilled salmon salad with kale, avocado, pumpkin seeds, and citrus vinaigrette. Snack: Greek yogurt with blueberries and flaxseed. Dinner: roasted sweet potatoes, steamed broccoli, and grilled chicken breast. Dessert, a small piece of dark chocolate or frozen mango slices. It's colorful, it's delicious, and most importantly, it fuels my vision. What about supplements? I do take a supplement now, one recommended by my doctor called Arids 2. It includes lutein, zeaxanthin, zinc, copper, vitamin C, and E. It's especially recommended for those with early signs of macular degeneration. But here's what I learned. Supplements help, but they don't replace food. Your body absorbs nutrients best when they come from natural sources. Think of supplements as insurance, not the foundation. What I tell other retirees, now whenever I meet someone around my age complaining about blurry vision, dry eyes, or sensitivity to light, I ask them one thing: what are you feeding your eyes? Most look confused. They've never thought about it. But once I explain, their face lights up because this is something they can control. It doesn't require expensive treatment. It doesn't require surgery. Just a little awareness and a few shifts in the kitchen. Final thought for this section: we spend our lives planning for retirement savings, pensions, housing, but how many of us plan to see that retirement clearly? Every forkful is a choice to protect our vision or damage it. And now that I've made that shift, I won't go back. My eyes feel better, I see better, and I know I'm giving myself the best chance to stay sharp and independent. Because at the end of the day, what's the point of a beautiful retirement if you can't see it clearly? Why I now treat my eyes like my heart. When I turned 60, I started hearing a lot about heart health. Friends were getting pacemakers, relatives were watching their cholesterol. Every doctor I saw wanted to talk about my blood pressure, so naturally, I started walking more, eating cleaner, and being mindful of my heart. But not one single doctor, mentioned that my eyes were just as dependent on my cardiovascular health as my actual heart. It took a minor health scare to open my eyes literally and figuratively. My warning sign came in the form of blurry vision one afternoon. While out shopping, I suddenly noticed a gray blur in my left eye. Not total darkness, but it was like someone had smudged a fingerprint across my lens. It lasted only a few minutes, but it was enough to scare me stiff. I went straight to the optometrist. After a thorough exam, she referred me to a retinal specialist. The diagnosis: transient retinal ischemia, temporary loss of blood flow to the eye. The specialist said something that changed the way I viewed my body forever. Your eyes are vascular organs. If your blood vessels aren't healthy, your vision isn't safe. It was the first time I realized my eye health was directly tied to my circulation, blood pressure, and heart. How blood flow affects your eyes: the retina, the light-sensitive tissue at the back of your eye, is fed by tiny, delicate blood vessels. These vessels are incredibly sensitive to changes in blood pressure, cholesterol, and inflammation. If anything restricts the flow of oxygen-rich blood to these vessels, your vision can suffer. And here's the kicker: damage from poor blood flow is often permanent. That's what scared me the most. This wasn't about needing new glasses. This was about preserving my ability to see at all. So I started treating my eyes like my heart. I asked myself, if I take steps to prevent heart attacks, why not take the same steps to prevent eye attacks? So I made some specific changes, not just for my heart, but for my vision. 1. I doubled down on heart-healthy eating. I had already started improving my diet, as I shared in the last section, but now I got more specific. I lowered my sodium intake to reduce pressure in the blood vessels of my eyes. I increased foods rich in nitrates like beets and leafy greens to improve blood flow. I switched to healthy fats like olive oil, avocados, and fatty fish to reduce plaque buildup. Every meal became an act of eye care, not just heart care. 2. I started daily cardio for my vision. Heard this before. Walk 30 minutes a day to protect your heart. But guess what? That same 30 minutes increases oxygen supply to your eyes, improves circulation, and lowers intraocular pressure, which is critical for preventing glaucoma. Now, I don't treat my walks as optional. I treat them like medicine. Whether it's rain or sunshine, I get outside or walk indoors and I tell myself, I'm walking for my vision. 3. I took blood pressure seriously. My blood pressure had always hovered a little high. Not alarming, but elevated. I used to brush it off. Not anymore. High blood pressure can damage the tiny vessels in your retina, causing hypertensive retinopathy, which leads to blurred vision and, in severe cases, vision loss. So I finally took it seriously. I bought a home monitor and tracked it daily. I reduced salt, caffeine, and stress where I could, and with my doctor's help, I found a small daily medication that kept it in the ideal range. Within months, my eye pressure normalized, and my vision felt sharper, for I prioritized sleep and stress relief. People don't associate sleep with eye health, but they should. During sleep, the body repairs and detoxifies the eyes. Poor sleep impairs blood flow, raises cortisol, and increases inflammation, all enemies of good vision. I set a consistent bedtime, removed screens from my bedroom, and started a relaxing nighttime routine with herbal tea and calming music. Bonus: my mood improved, my blood pressure dropped, and my eyes stopped feeling tired or sore during the day. 5. I began managing stress like my vision depended on it, because it does. Stress raises cortisol and adrenaline, which can narrow blood vessels, including those in the eyes, that reduces nutrient delivery and oxygen supplies, starving your vision at the cellular level. I used to wear stress like a badge of honor, but now, I meditate 10 minutes a day. I journal, I say no more often, and I remind myself daily. A calm mind creates clear vision. What I wish I knew sooner for most of my life. I thought eye care was about eye drops and glasses, but after 60, eye care is blood care, it's heart care, it's whole body care. It's treating your eyes as a vital organ system, not as an isolated pair of lenses. That shift in mindset changed everything for me. I now talk to my cardiologist about my vision. It might sound strange, but at my last checkup, I told my cardiologist, I'm not just here for my heart. I want to protect my vision, too. He smiled and said, you'd be surprised how many people lose their vision because they didn't manage their blood pressure or cholesterol. That's when it hit me again. Vision loss is often preventable if we look beyond the eyes. The vision gains I noticed since making these changes. Here's what I've personally experienced. I no longer feel sudden eye fatigue in the afternoon, have less light sensitivity, and better contrast when driving at night. My dry eyes improved significantly. Most importantly, I feel confident that I'm doing everything I can to protect my independence. Because losing your eyesight doesn't just mean glasses, it means giving up hobbies, driving, reading, even recognizing the faces of your loved ones. I don't want that, so I'll do everything I can to fight for my vision. Final thoughts for this section. We tend to treat eye care as something separate. But the vascular system connects everything. Your eyes, your heart, your brain, they're all linked. So, if you're serious about keeping your eyesight strong after 60, don't just visit the optometrist. Start with your heart. Eat better, move more, manage your pressure, sleep deeper, stress less. Your future self will thank you not just for your heartbeat, but for the gift of clear, vibrant vision. My simple daily routine to save my sight. If you're like me, you've probably heard hundreds of health tips by now. After a while, they blurred together, pun intended. Eye exercises, special glasses, superfood lists, blue light filters. It can all feel a bit overwhelming. But after years of trial, error, and one too many nights rubbing my dry, tired eyes, I finally found something that worked. Not a complicated supplement stack or fancy gadgets. Just a simple, consistent daily routine that helps me protect and refresh my eyesight naturally. And now, it's a habit I treat like brushing my teeth. So today, I want to walk you through the daily habits I personally use. Step by step, they don't take more than 20 to 30 minutes total, but they've made a huge difference in my clarity, comfort, and confidence. Morning, reset, rehydrate, refresh. 1. I start with warm water and hydration. Before I even check my phone, I drink a full glass of warm water. Hydration helps your eyes stay moist and flushes out toxins from your system. After 7 to 8 hours of sleep, your body and eyes are thirsty. Then I rinse my face with warm water and gently place a warm compress over my eyes for 2 to 3 minutes. This helps loosen any gunk or oil blockages in the tear glands, which is essential for preventing dry eyes, something most people over 60 struggle with, including me. 2. I blink deliberately. It sounds silly, but deliberate blinking is powerful. As we age, our blink rate decreases, especially with screens. I now blink slowly and fully 10 times every morning to wake up my eye muscles and encourage tear distribution. Mid-morning, eye movement, and relaxation around 10 a.m. I take a short eye break. This only takes 5 minutes, but it energizes me more than a cup of coffee. Here's what I do. Gives the 20-20-20 rule. Every 20 minutes, I look at something 20 feet away for 20 seconds. It relieves eye strain from reading or screens. I even placed a sticky note on my monitor. Look away. It sounds basic, but it reduces fatigue dramatically. Gives eye rolling exercise. Eye gently roll my eyes in circles clockwise and counterclockwise 10 times each. It strengthens the muscles around the eyes and improves flexibility. It also just feels good. Gives palming. This comes from yoga. I rub my hands together until they're warm, close my eyes, and gently cup my palms over them for a minute or two. No pressure, just warmth and darkness. It relaxes my optic nerve and calms my mind. Great for stress, too. Lunchtime, eat. For sight, you've already talked about eye-friendly foods in section 2, but this is where routine comes in. I never skip my midday dose of nutrients. A typical lunch might include a spinach or kale salad, lutein and zeaxanthin salmon or walnuts, omega-3s, south bell peppers or citrus fruits, vitamin C, a boiled egg, zinc, and antioxidants. I don't treat food like fuel anymore. I treat it like eye medicine. Afternoon, screen time, smartness between reading articles, messaging friends, and video calls with family. I spend a fair amount of time on screens even in retirement. But now, I'm more intentional about how I do it. I use blue light filters. I installed blue light filters on my devices. Many smartphones and computers now come with a night mode or eye comfort setting. This reduces blue light exposure, which can harm the retina over time and disrupt sleep cycles. I position my screen below eye level. I used to look straight ahead or slightly up at my monitor. This kept my eyes open wide, increasing dryness. Now I position the screen slightly below my line of sight, which naturally relaxes the eyelids and reduces strain. I take natural light breaks every hour or so. I step outside just for a few minutes. Natural daylight, not staring at the sun, helps reset the circadian rhythm and improves overall eye responsiveness. Bonus, it's good for my mood too. Evening, I care before sleep. As the day winds down, I wind down my eyes too. Here's my evening ritual. 1. Gentle cleansing. I use a soft, damp cloth to wipe my eyelids, especially the edges. It removes oil buildup, dead skin, and prevents styes or irritation. I didn't know this before, but eyelid hygiene is a key part of preventing chronic dry eyes. 2. Artificial tears if needed on drier days. I use preservative-free lubricating eye drops before bed. It keeps my eyes moist through the night and reduces that morning gritty feeling. 3. I avoid screens 1 hour before bed. This was hard at first but life-changing. I replaced nighttime scrolling with reading a physical book or listening to soft music. My sleep improved, and my eyes stopped feeling so fatigued when I woke up. Bonus habit. I keep my glasses clean. Really clean, seems obvious, right? But I used to just wipe my glasses on my shirt. Turns out, that leaves micro scratches and blurry patches that can actually increase eye strain. Now, I clean them properly once a day, with a microfiber cloth and lens solution. It's a small habit but a big visual boost. Why this routine matters? At my age, before I built this routine, my vision felt unpredictable. Some days were clear, some were blurry. I had no idea what I was doing right or wrong. Now I know I'm supporting my vision proactively. These habits aren't complicated. They don't require fancy tools, but they've helped me reduce eye fatigue, keep my eyes moist and refreshed, see better in the evening, protect my long-term vision, and just like brushing your teeth or stretching your back. Once this becomes a routine, it becomes effortless. A lesson from a 92-year-old with crystal clear vision. Let me share something that still sticks with me. At a community event last year, I met a 92-year-old gentleman who read the newspaper without glasses. I asked him his secret. He smiled and said, "I just treat my eyes like they matter." He told me he did simple exercises daily, walked outside, ate greens, and always kept his annual appointments. That's when it clicked. It wasn't about magic pills or luck, it was about loving your eyes enough to care for them daily. My daily vision checklist for you to use. I created a small mental checklist I run through each day. You can use it too. Warm compress in the morning, eye movement plus blink breaks, antioxidant-rich meals, limited screen strain plus blue light protection, hydration, and sleep, gentle cleansing at night. I follow 80% of this most days. Not perfect, but powerful. Final thoughts for this section. If you've made it this far in the video, you already know this. Your vision is worth the effort. Not effort that exhausts you, but small, daily habits that build up over time. Start with one change this week, add another next week. Before you know it, you've created a rhythm that supports your sight every single day. Your eyes serve you every minute of your life. Give them 20 minutes backhand. They'll reward you with years of clarity. The one appointment I'll never skip again. I used to think that if my vision wasn't getting noticeably worse, there was no need to visit an eye doctor. I mean, why fix what isn't broken, right? I wasn't seeing halos, wasn't bumping into walls. I could still read the headlines if I zoomed in enough, so I'd skip the checkups, put it off a few more months, then a year, and sometimes even longer. And honestly, it's one of the biggest mistakes I made in my 60s, because there was something brewing behind my eyes that I couldn't feel, and by the time symptoms appear, it's often too late. My turning point? A routine exam that wasn't so routine. I finally went in for a checkup because I wanted a new pair of reading glasses. It had been nearly 2 years. I wasn't expecting much, maybe a stronger prescription, but the optometrist noticed something odd when she looked into my eyes. She saw subtle swelling in my optic nerve and unusual pressure readings. She calmly said, "You might be developing glaucoma. We need further testing." I was shocked, "But I don't feel anything," I said. That's when she looked at me and said words I'll never forget. "That's the danger. You rarely do until your vision is already gone." The silent thief. Why glaucoma terrifies me. Glaucoma is often called the silent thief of sight. Why? Because it causes permanent vision loss slowly, subtly, and usually without any symptoms in the early stages. In fact, most people don't realize they have it until they've lost up to 40% of their peripheral vision, and once it's gone for good. But here's the good news. If caught early, glaucoma can be managed and slowed down dramatically. That visit may have saved my sight. I was lucky. Many aren't. Why I now treat eye exams like life insurance after that experience. I made a vow. I'll never skip an eye appointment again. Not because I'm scared, but because I now understand the power of early detection. So many serious eye conditions that impact seniors like glaucoma, cataracts, macular degeneration, AMD, diabetic, retinopathy, retinal detachment, begin silently. No pain, no redness, no warning signs, until damage is already underway. But a simple eye exam, often less than 30 minutes, can catch all of these. It's not just about checking your glasses anymore. It's about protecting your freedom, independence, and ability to see your loved one's faces. What happens during my annual eye exam, and why it matters if you haven't been in a while. Let me walk you through what typically happens during my appointments, because understanding the process made me feel a lot less anxious. 1. Visual acuity test. This is the classic chart test. Helps assess how clearly you're seeing at various distances. 2. Eye pressure test tonometry. This checks for signs of glaucoma. Elevated pressure inside the eye can cause nerve damage over time. 3. Retinal examination with dilation. They use drops to widen your pupils and look directly at your retina and optic nerve. This is where they check for AMD, diabetic retinopathy, and other issues. 4. Visual field test. This measures your peripheral side vision, critical for detecting the early stages of glaucoma or neurological issues. 5. OCT scan optional, but powerful. This is a newer, non-invasive imaging test that gives a 3D map of the retina, catching even the tiniest signs of disease in under an hour. They can assess nearly every part of your vision system. How often should you get checked? After 6. According to the American Academy of Ophthalmology and most eye health experts, ages 60 to 64, get a full eye exam every 1 to 2 years. Ages 65 and up, get a full eye exam annually if you have diabetes, high blood pressure, or a family history of glaucoma or AMD. You may need more frequent exams. I now go once a year without Phi-11 if my vision feels fine, because fine doesn't mean safe. Why regular eye exams do more than just protect vision. Here's something surprising I didn't know until recently. Eye doctors can often detect early signs of other health issues before your general doctor does. During my last exam, my optometrist noticed tiny retinal changes that hinted at possible blood sugar fluctuations. She recommended I talk to my primary care doctor, and, sure enough, my blood glucose was slightly elevated. Your eyes are like windows into your whole body. They revealed signs of high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, even stroke risk. That's why eye exams are no longer optional for me. They're part of my overall health plan. A message to anyone putting off their appointment. If you're watching this and thinking, I haven't been in years, maybe next month, I get it. Life gets busy, fear can sneak in, but trust me on this, you don't want to wait until you feel something. You don't want to find out when it's too late, and you certainly don't want to live in regret when a 30-minute checkup could have saved your vision. Call your eye clinic. Schedule the appointment. It might just be the best decision you make this year. What I've gained from never skipping again since I made that commitment. Here's what's changed in my life. I feel peace of mind, knowing I'm being proactive. My doctor caught early signs of cataracts, and I'm already managing them. I sleep better, drive better, and no longer panic at every visual hiccup. And most importantly, I've gained confidence in my health, not fear, not worry. Confidence. Because I'm not waiting to react to vision loss. I'm taking steps to prevent it. Final thoughts. Sight is a gift. Protect it. As we age, we get wiser. We learn to let go of things that don't matter and hold tight to things that do. And our eyesight, the ability to read, walk confidently, watch our grandchildren grow, see the sun rise, recognize a familiar smile that matters. So if I can leave you with one piece of advice, it's this. Don't wait for a problem to see an eye doctor. Be the kind of person who values your vision enough to protect it before it's in danger. Because by the time you notice something's wrong, you may already be looking at a life of permanent blur.